Hello, happy Monday, all of my beautiful friends in the keto and carnivore communities and everywhere else on the internet. How are you guys this evening? My name is Chris, better known as Chris Cooking Nashville here on the internet, and I create keto, carnivore, all sorts of low-carb, proper human diet recipes. I've lost about 130 pounds, hopefully soon to be a little bit more than that, on a proper human diet. And I've reversed all kinds of just crazy health things, improved my life. My wife Ash has lost over 100 pounds doing this with me. She's more keto, I'm more carnivore most of the time, and now we spend our time trying to promote this lifestyle and help other people and figure out how we can be an inspiration for good things and change in the world, and just helping people to hopefully feel their best and live their best life. So how are you guys this evening? Who's ready for Thanksgiving? It is coming very, very quickly. Let's see who's in the chat. And we are going to talk about from keto to carnivore to crazy. You guys are going to like this one, I think. And I think it's a really interesting topic that we need to discuss, because there's some things that can hurt the community, and I think we all need to be on the lookout for some of this and think about how we talk to other people and how we behave so that we can spread this message to people without looking like we're nuts. So we're going to talk about that. But let's see who's here before we do that. Carrie is here. I finally get to catch a Chris Cooking Nashville live. I worked this morning, and now I'm off till December 1st. Well, that's great, Carrie. Enjoy your break. And he says that he hit the like button 1 trillion times +1. Thank you so much. You guys that are out there, do me a favor. Make sure that you like and subscribe and share while you are here. It would make such a huge difference to me if you would please do that. Just tells YouTube that what I'm doing is something that is interesting and good and helpful, and it shows it to more people. So you guys hit the like button, subscribe, and share while you're here. Drop it in the chat if you're watching and say hello. I'd love to say hello to you guys. Let's see. Who else do we have watching? We have Brenda Foley saying hello. Catch the replay. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, happy Thanksgiving, Brenda. It's good to see you, my friend. Sherry Nevada Pup is here. Hello, CCN fam. Good to see you, Sherry. Lisa Ortega is here. Good evening, guys. Good to see you, Lisa. Brian is here. Hello, everyone. Hey, Brian. And Mags 102755. It's always hard to remember all those numbers, isn't it? Trying to remember people's names. It says, hey, Chris. Hey, it's good to see you, my friend. Breeze 5378 is here. Good evening. Good evening. Good to see you here. Thank you for dropping in. Dennis is in the house. Hello, my friend. Hi, all from Newport. Brother Barry Weems in the house. Good evening, everyone, and hope everyone is having a blessed day. Same to you, Barry. Where are you tonight? Would love to hear from you and see where you're at. Liz is here. Says, hi, Chris and everyone. Hi, Liz. There's Stacy and Ken at Easy Peasy Keto. We were late because we were watching your stuffed chicken legs. I think our quail legs are too small. Stacy, it's good to see you guys. Yeah, the quail legs might be a little tough to do that with. It might be a little too small. But if you get yourself some chicken legs, those would be good. If you guys have not seen, I did a video with a Tyfer Sync air fryer. You can use any air fryer or you can use your oven, but I did it with a Tyfer Sync. It's a really cool product, and I did stuffed chicken legs, and I show you how to debone a chicken leg and then fill it with sausage and cheddar stuffing. And you can make the sausage and cheddar stuffing whatever kind of stuffing you want. I just did sausage and cheddar, but it's really cool. Those are amazing. Dennis was relaxing listening to Ash. Well, listening to her is very relaxing and very wonderful. Thank you for listening to what she does. If you guys did not know, Ash and I are musicians professionally in Nashville, touring country artist, Ash Taylor, and I'm her lead guitar player, band leader. We get to tour around the country and play music professionally. So you can go to Ash Taylor on YouTube, and you can listen to a lot of her stuff. She just put out a music video for the extended version of This Town Built Me that she and I did together. So very cool. Go give that a listen. Check that out. Emily is here. Says, hey, everyone. Good to see you, Emily. Liz says, I've made 3 baptism of crackers in the last 2 days. Batches, I think is what she means. In the last 2 days, and it's now one of my most favorite recipes. Liz, I'm so glad you like the crackers. I really enjoy them too. I have upgraded them slightly for the cookbook that I'm working on. So it's very, very similar, but a little tweak makes them just a little bit better. So it's going to be really exciting. I'm glad you like it. I really enjoy that recipe a lot. Carrie is here. Good day from Australia. Hello to you in Australia. I'd love to visit Australia. I think that would be so cool. Dennis says, listening to Ash's music on Spotify before this started. That's awesome. Yes, and Liz meant, oops, batches. All good. That autocorrect will get you. Emily says, new name for dips, baptism. Thanks, Liz. I really like that. Carrie says, Chris and everyone, how does the gingerbread man go to bed? With some cookie sheets. I like that. That's really good, Carrie. Let's see. Richard Williams is here. Good evening, neighbor in Copper Hill. And there's Holly Springer. Hey, Holly. Judy is here from Queensland, Australia. Good to see you, Judy. And Mag says, those numbers are my birth date. Ah, I gotcha. No, there is no way you were born in 1955. You cannot be more than, what, 40? Looking at your picture there, you can, there's no way. There is no way you were born in 1955. Let's see. Barry Weems is in Laredo, Texas tonight. That's awesome, Barry. There's some great songs about Laredo. That's really cool. Will you be safe on the road, brother? Appreciate you tuning in. I Need Milk. Congratulations on Insanity. I don't know what that means. We'll see if that's a troll or not. If it is, we'll block it. Let's see. John says, hello, everyone. Good to see you, John. And Mag says, just turned 70. I think you're lying. If you tried to come and buy alcohol from a restaurant I was waiting tables at, if I was back in my waiting tables days, I would ask to see your ID. That's how that would work. All right, guys, let's talk about this whole thing we're talking about tonight. Carnivore, keto to carnivore to crazy. The extremes that are hurting the community. So I have to give you a little backstory on why I'm talking about this. Let's see. I Need Milk. LOL, not a troll. I was commenting on the name of this vid. Yes, we're talking about crazy. I wasn't sure why you were congratulating me on crazy, so confused, but cool. Just glad you're not a troll. We get those from time to time. So let's talk about the backstory of why I'm doing this live stream. So Ash was laying in bed the other night, and I was coming upstairs after working on stuff and doing all these things, and I came upstairs and I walked in and I looked at her and I was getting ready for bed, and I was kind of going in and out of the bathroom and just getting ready to lay down. And this pattern had kind of emerged, right? So here's the deal. I'm neurodivergent. I'm autistic and ADHD and OCD. So I see patterns in everything in a way that most people don't. And so one of these patterns that kind of just my brain put this all together randomly. I wasn't even thinking about it, but it just put it together. And I expressed this to Ash, who's laying there, and I'm talking about, okay, here's this pattern that I'm seeing. And I think this is the thing that I'm noticing. It was this is a thing that I see in the community where it can be very damaging if we don't understand why some people are reacting to things like keto, and especially carnivore is bad about this, the way they are. But I have seen this because over the last few years, I have been through basically every various level of what I'm about to walk you through, this pattern that I saw. I've been through all of this over the last few years. I've experienced it personally. I have also watched it happen online. The extremes that this goes to, I have not personally stepped into some of these, but I have seen people online who do, and it gets real weird. And there's some real dark corners of the carnivore space, and it's a little strange when you start seeing some of the extremes this goes to, which to each their own. Everybody can live their life the way they want, but the problem is some of the extremes end up being very talked about publicly on social media because it's a big sort of exploding, like, oh wow, that's crazy, and so of course it goes viral on social media, and then it sort of filters down through all of the social media interactions, and everybody sees this stuff and they go, this is crazy, these carnivore people are crazy, this is a cult. Okay, I'm going to walk you guys through this process here in just a second, and I'm going to tell you why I think this is happening, and I'm going to, I think, put this in a condensed format where maybe you can see this hopefully sort of the way that I saw this when this sort of hit my brain the other night. And this is kind of that autism thing where it randomly starts taking patterns and putting them all together. And suddenly it's like click, and I just see all of this stuff and I'm like, I wasn't even thinking about this. Why am I seeing this now? So here's basically how this goes. I want you guys to kind of role play along with me. Okay, I am going to be two different people having a conversation that would essentially it would occur over a months or years long period, but I'm condensing it into one single conversation so we can see it in context back to back to back to back. Because someone who is brand new to the keto or carnivore world, this is how they're seeing the conversations all of us have if we are not taking care to make sure that what we're discussing is being expressed in a way that a newcomer would be able to understand properly. So this is sort of a little bit of a role play. I've written some stuff down here, some notes, just to make sure I don't forget anything. This is the pattern that I saw. So I'm playing the part of two different people. One person is brand new to trying to live a healthier lifestyle. They've been eating a standard American diet and they're unhealthy and they're trying to change their lives. The other person is a month or a year or however far in front of this person who's trying to change their lives. They've been doing whatever the hot button thing is, and they're telling this other person as they're having this conversation. Again, several months or even maybe a year conversation, but condensed into a short format. This is basically how it goes, and this is the experience I think a lot of newcomers are having. Just hang with me. I think I'm going to change my diet and eat healthier. I really need to change my life. I need to change my health. I need to eat healthier. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to eat healthier. Okay, well, you need to eat no processed junk, no junk food, no sugar, no cakes, cookies, pies, all the things we know are bad for us. Okay, I'll cut back on junk food. That's a good place to start. Well, you're still eating gluten, and that's terrible for you, so you need to cut out the gluten. Okay, I'll cut out the gluten, and I think that'll make a big difference. Actually, you're having a lot of grains, and grains are really bad for you, just like sugar. Okay, that makes sense. I'll get rid of grains and really try to cut back on that. Taking that and the sugar out, that should fix a lot of issues. There's still a lot of sugar in the other stuff that you're eating, and you really need to be thinking about your carbohydrate intake. Okay, I'll go low carb. I'll go low carb. I'll give low carb a try. I've heard really good things about it. I'll go low carb. That's actually still way too many carbs per day to be good for you. You're still getting way too much. I know low carb is what you're doing, but it's not really low carb. Okay, I can see where you're saying carbs are probably maybe still too high, and reducing my carbs has seemed to help. So I'll tell you what, I'll go keto. I'm going to try keto. That's a big buzzword. Everyone talks about it. I'll go keto. You know, you really shouldn't have all of those no sugar sweeteners that you're eating on your keto diet. Those are not good for you. Okay, I'll cut out all of the low carb sweeteners, all of the fake things that people talk about being keto treats like xylitol and erythritol and sucralose and all any of the no sugar sweeteners. I'll just go ahead and cut that out. That's good, but it's still too many carbs. You're still eating too many carbs. Okay, I'll go strict keto, and I'll count carbs, and I'll read labels really closely. You know, food with a label isn't healthy no matter what it says. You shouldn't have anything with a label. Okay, I'll eat whole foods. I'll do whole food keto. Okay, but what about all those oxalates you're getting? You know, oxalates are poisoning you, and all of these low carb veggies that you're eating, a lot of those things have oxalates, especially the dark greens and the nuts and all of the things that you're eating. That's all I got oxalates. Oxalates are poisoning you. Okay, I'll go low oxalate keto. I'll look into foods that have oxalates and try to cut back significantly on the oxalates. I'll remove that from the diet. That should make a big difference. Okay, but you're still getting too many carbs from the low oxalate foods like fruit. Like, even though they're low oxalate, you're still getting too many carbs. You've got to pull that back. You've got to cut those carbs down further. Okay, I will cut out the little bit of fruit that I'm having, so none of the handful of berries, none of the anything that could have maybe slightly too many carbs. I will go only the absolute lowest carb foods I can find and try to stay as low oxalate as possible. You know, all that fiber, that's not good for you either. That's really messing with your gut, and fiber is not essentially a nutrient. Like, that's not an essential nutrient you need in your diet, and you're just wasting your money and your time on all of that fiber. It's making you sick. Okay, I'll go ketovore. I'll use the aromatics and the spices, the tiny bit of plants that I get for ketovore, just like garlic, just a little onion, maybe some herbs, like very, very small amounts of things, very low oxalate stuff as much as possible. It's minimal amounts of those things. It shouldn't be a problem. That'll at least give me some flavor in the food that I'm really enjoying, and I'll just do ketovore. That'll be fine, and that actually helps me cut those carbs back, so cool. I'll go ketovore. Well, you know, plants are bad for you, and they want you to die so that they can live off of your decomposing body. So plants are trying to just totally ruin your health. You should not be eating any plant matter whatsoever. Okay, I'm going to go loose carnivore. I'm going to eat meat and eggs and seafood and dairy and chicken and pork and spices. I'll use the spices just a little bit, and that'll be some flavor and some variety of meats and some dairy. I think I can make that work. That should be good. I think that'll work for me. And then I'll cut out basically all of that fiber and all of the plant material that is apparently trying to kill me, and just the tiniest bit for the flavoring of the spices, and that'll be it. You know, all that dairy isn't good for you. I mean, you have to think about the fact that there's lactose and there's sugar in dairy, and the casein proteins are addictive, and you're really messing with your body. And, you know, the thing is, you've been weaned off of milk because you're an adult. Milk and dairy products, that's for babies, for growing babies. You shouldn't be eating dairy. That's not ancestrally appropriate. You shouldn't have any of the dairy. Stop eating the dairy. The dairy is your problem. Okay, I'll cut out the dairy. I'm going to eat beef and chicken and pork and seafood, eggs and animal fats and butter. I think I can get along with that. That's okay. That's what I'll do. I'll do that version of carnivore. That'll work. But what about all those spices you're still using? Those are causing all of your issues, the joint inflammation and the problems. The spices are the problem. You shouldn't be using spices. Spices are not ancestrally appropriate. Okay, I'll cut back to just using salt. So I'm going to have the various meats that I have and the eggs and the fish and that stuff. I'm just going to use salt on that. Thankfully, I've still got my butter. I've got some animal fats in there that I can cook with. I'll just use salt, and I'll just go kind of that meat salt route when it comes to my meals. Use some butter. That'll make me feel good. I'm just going to use salt, and I'll cut out the spices. Okay, but you know all those monogastric animals are inflammatory, right? Like because of the weird balance between the omega-3s and the omega-6s and the fact that they don't have the multi-chambered stomach means they can't turn the plants into the kind of protein that you really need. And because of the inflammatory nature of the monogastric animals, you need to make sure that you cut that out. You need to eat red meat. Red meat is the best. If it's not a ruminant animal, you shouldn't eat it. Okay. I'm going to eat red meat. I'm going to eat eggs. I'm going to eat butter. And I'm going to eat salt. Did I miss anything? Well, are you still drinking coffee? Because that's a plant. Okay, I'll cut out the coffee and I'll just drink water. Well, is it reverse osmosis filtered water? Because, you know, our modern water is poison and they fill it with fluoride and they fill it with chlorine and all of these things that are not good for you. That's poisoning you from the inside out. You may as be drinking it out of a mud puddle, just wherever your car is parked with all the oil and everything and the chemicals and all of that stuff gets in your body and there's heavy metal poisoning and you need to have reverse osmosis water at all times. Okay, I guess I'll go buy the expensive reverse osmosis water filter and drink that. But do you drink bottled water when you're away from the house? Because you know that's all microplastics. It's just filled with microplastics and all of the chemicals, and you're killing yourself by drinking all that bottled water. All right, I'm going to carry my own water bottle made of glass, filled with water that I got at home from my reverse osmosis filter, and I'm going to eat meat and eggs and salt. Okay, but what about all of your food storage? You shouldn't store food in plastic or have it in the kitchen because, you know, if you have like a plastic cutting board or you're using plastic bags or any of that kind of stuff, you're putting microplastics in your food and you're basically just killing yourself. All right, I'll use aluminum foil. I'll use aluminum foil to wrap up my food. Nope, that's bad for you too. That's bad for you too. Don't use the aluminum foil. That's bad for you. That's going to kill you. Okay, parchment paper then. Nope, that's coated in plastics too. You can't have parchment paper. Parchment paper has a coating on it. That's going to have chemicals in it. That's going to kill you. Okay. What about if I buy glass storage containers and I keep all of my food and my liquids and everything in glass storage containers and glass jars and there's no plastic anywhere? How about that? Or are you still using nonstick cookware? Because, you know, cookware with nonstick has chemicals. It has forever chemicals. And I know that they say there's kinds of nonstick that don't have the forever chemicals, but there's chemicals in the nonstick cookware. You're killing yourself with nonstick cookware. Okay, I'll use cast iron. I'll use stainless steel. And I guess for things that stick to that stuff, I'll work on figuring out how to cook in a way that it doesn't stick, and I'll just do the best that I can with that kind of cookware. That way I'm not using the nonstick. That'll be fine. Okay, but what about the spatulas that you're using? You know, if they're black, then that means they're made out of black plastic. And if that's the case, they have industrial chemicals, and those are poisonous. If your cookware is black, if any of your spatulas are black, or your spoons, if it's black, it's going to kill you. Okay, I'll buy wooden spoons. Those can harbor bacteria. Okay, I'll buy metal spoons. Well, make sure it's not aluminum or non-stick, because those are poisonous. Yes, I know. You informed me. Cool. So I'm going to have metal that is not aluminum and is not non-stick coated, and that's what I'm going to use. I think I'm ready to cook my food now. No aluminum, no non-stick. I'm just going to cook my food, and I'm just going to eat these things that I have decided that I'm allowed to have. Well, is that egg pasture raised? What about the beef? Is it grass-fed, grass-finished beef? Or the butter? What about that? Is that locally bought? Is it humanely raised? Are you buying butter that has been grass-fed and grass-finished and eggs that have been pasture raised? You know, the chickens, they keep them in these little tiny coops, and I know it's 10 times the price for these other eggs, but it's got so much more nutrition. Are you getting pastured eggs and pasture raised and grass-fed and grass-finished beef and grass-fed and grass-finished butter? Are you getting the right stuff? Because the other stuff is killing you. Okay, I'm going to spend lots more money that I really don't have to buy grass-fed beef, pastured eggs, and grass-fed butter, and that's what I'm going to have. Well, you know, butter is still too much dairy, and it's not really part of the animal that we would have been having ancestrally. That's not really ancestrally appropriate to have that amount of butter, because butter would have been something that our ancestors would have had very limited access to, because we were taking the milk from cows and turning it into butter. That's meant for baby animals. So butter is actually not really an ancestrally appropriate fat for you to be eating on a carnivore diet. Okay, I will use beef tallow only. I will stop using butter. I will use beef tallow only, and I will make sure that I am staying away from the butter. Well, is it the right kind of beef tallow? You know, because today they do all of these things where they do this hydrogenation process and they do all of this chemical stuff. You got to make sure that it's the right kind of beef tallow, because if it's the wrong kind of beef tallow, it's going to kill you. Okay, I'll make sure I buy the really expensive beef tallow that is panda massaged and gourmet and completely organic and totally untouched by human hands and humanely rendered and whatever else it is that I need to buy to get the right kind of beef tallow. You know, those eggs, even though they're pasture raised now, those are not really ancestrally appropriate in that amount, because when we would have been in the wild, in the jungle, you know, 5,000 years ago, 500,000 years ago, 5 billion years ago, you wouldn't have been able to get that many eggs. Like, you would have been lucky if once a month you found one egg. There's no reason you should be eating multiple eggs every day. Those eggs aren't good for you, even if they're pasture raised. That's not ancestrally appropriate. Okay, I'll just cut back and eat the beef. Well, are you eating organs? Because that's ancestrally appropriate. You know, everybody would have been eating nose to tail, because back then we didn't have a lot of extra food. We would have had to use every cut of the animal. Our bodies were designed to use every piece of the animal, and you're not getting those organs. You're not getting all of the nutrition that you need from those organs. So are you eating nose to tail? Are you eating the organs from that grass-fed, grass-finished beef or other ruminant animals? Even better if it's wild game. Okay, I'll include the organ meats. But are you still cooking it indoors? Because, you know, that's not how our ancestors did it. You shouldn't be using that gas or electric stove, whatever those things are that you have. That's not how our ancestors would have cooked that. That's not ancestrally appropriate. Okay, I'll use a grill. Or an open fire. I just don't care at this point. I'll use some form of flame that is outside to cook my beef. Well, you know, the thing is, I've heard those char marks on the meat where you're getting it from the grill, or when you're putting it over top of the fire and you get the little brown and black bits around the edges. I've heard those are carcinogenic. That Maillard reaction, that whole thing that you like those char marks and that flavor, that's not a good thing for you. That's carcinogenic. That's going to kill you. Okay. I will cook my steaks and my beef patties and my liver to be just slightly gray. Anemic and squishy and floppy, so that I can avoid those carcinogenic compounds. We actually know, as we think about it now, as we do more research and we look at the anthropology about all of this, our ancestors often ate things raw. And we've realized that cooking actually denatures a lot of the nutrition that's inside of the meat. So it's really best for your digestion and your nutrition for you to eat your food raw, just like our ancestors did. That's how we're really designed to live. Okay. I'll give up the anemic steak and eat my beef and my beef fat and my beef liver and my beef kidneys raw with nothing but salt on them. And I'm going to chew on the bones and eat the connective tissues raw with salt and nothing else. You know, actually, as we've looked into it, that amount of salt is ancestrally inappropriate. No one that was one of our ancestors would have had access to that level of salt on a daily basis. They would have had to travel for hundreds of miles to collect salt. They wouldn't have had salt all the time. You're getting way too much salt in your diet. Salt is not ancestrally appropriate to put that much of it on your meat. You should not be using all of that salt. Okay, I'll eat my raw meat with no salt. Yum. Now remember, your electrolytes, they came from natural water supplies, not those packets from companies. So you should not be buying your electrolytes, even though you're not putting any salt on your food now. You're going to have to figure out how to get your electrolytes from a natural source. You're going to need to drink animal blood. You're going to need to go get natural water. You're going to need to get your electrolytes in a way that is truly ancestrally appropriate, because the packets they're putting that electrolyte mix in, that's killing you. I'm going to kill this guy. Okay, I'll forego the anemic gray steak to eat it raw with no seasoning. I'll drink some animal blood. I'll go lick a mud puddle to get my electrolytes. I won't eat any fat that's not already attached to the ruminant animal, which is the only thing I'm going to eat, because I'm going to avoid all monogastric meats as well as eggs and dairy. I won't use any seasonings or flavor of any kind. I'll drink my reverse osmosis water and nothing else. I'll buy only the most expensive local grass-fed, grass-finished red meat or hunt my own. I'll refuse to let anything else ever pass my lips. And I will tell everyone online how I'm so happy about all of this because I have reached the ultimate top-tier level of carnivore nirvana. And I'm just not sure I can stick with this. You're not sure you can stick with this? If you're not committed to this, you're going to fail. Those who are worthy, stick with it and find true health. And those who won't, face their sugar addiction, and they will suffer the consequences of their own choices. If you suffer, it is your fault because you're not committed to being a real carnivore. And we call vegans crazy. Thank you guys very much for indulging me on what I guess I can really only describe as a free-form performance of some kind, but this is the thing that occurred to me. And so I sort of off the cuff did a version of this for Ash while she's laying in bed. Like I just off the cuff kind of did this, and it turned into this whole thing. And I kind of got into it as I was doing it for her. And I stopped and I looked at her and I go, and we call vegans crazy. And she looked at me and she goes, "This needs to be your next live stream." And I was like, yeah, I think it does. I think it does. This does need to be a live stream. Now, what I am not saying, so before anybody comes after me in the comments, either here in the live chat or on the replay, what I am not saying is that all of this is crazy. Okay? Some of it is crazy the way people are acting, but I'm not saying the concept of eating keto or carnivore or any of these things is in and of itself crazy. What I am saying is that the way the community has started to push the bounds to be more and more and more and more extreme, looking for the attention of how extreme can we go, how much of an ass can I make out of myself online to prove to everybody how good of a carnivore I am. That behavior, that is crazy. And this is the exact same thing that we jump all over vegans for, right? We say vegans are crazy and they do this and that. I have some friends who are vegan and they are wonderful people and they are not crazy. There are some people in every community, crazy vegans, crazy carnivores, crazy keto, crazy gluten-free, crazy. It doesn't matter which of these things you are. There are some people in that community that are nuts. They have lost their minds. It's not because of the diet. It's not because of these things that they believe. It's because that's part of the human condition, that there are people that are just wackos, okay? And we need to try to help those people. But what I'm saying here is that if we are in the keto and carnivore world, we really need to think about what we are actually doing and how far we have pushed things to try to take it to the absolute nth degree. Now, I agree that somewhere through that whole performance that I just went through, somewhere along the lines, I hit a point where I was like, this is kind of the area where I think people generally should fall, okay? Somewhere from that low carb, loose keto, strict keto, low oxalate keto, ketovore, loose carnivore, more strict carnivore, all the way up to lion diet if there's a real need for it because you have things like autoimmune issues or some disease that you're really fighting against. Anywhere on that area is a good place to fall. Anywhere within it is a good place to fall if it works for you. This is Dr. Berry's concept of a proper human diet spectrum. That, I think, is where the sanity lies, is wherever you feel good within that range is sanity because you are choosing what's good. What's not sanity, what is leading us to this craziness is people that think because they've pushed to a certain extreme that everyone else must push to the same extreme or they're somehow not as good. Or people who have to go to a certain extreme and they can't accept the fact that something about their body means they don't get to be as loose with this as other people. And so therefore we have to look down on anybody who doesn't do it perfectly. And then the ego of being a human being starts to come into this, okay? And I'm not preaching at people here. I have an ego that I have to keep in check as much as anybody. There are just some people online that don't ever try to keep it in check. And they use their ego to go, well, you're not as good of a carnivore as me. I'm a better carnivore than you. I'm doing this and you're doing that. You're just an idiot. You're such an idiot for doing this. You're an idiot for creating recipes. How stupid can you be? And it's like, can you even hear yourself talking when people say things like that? And I don't think they can. So as a community, we have got to realize to everybody who's standard American diet or vegan or gluten-free or any of these other things that are not keto carnivore, looking in, when they see people acting like that and they see this whole progression that I just went through in a very condensed format because they see the videos influencers created 3 years ago and they see the influencers creating those videos today and they see that progression all within a week's time frame, they go, how in the hell did we get here? These people are nuts. This is a cult. They're eating raw meat and drinking animal blood and worshiping some guy named Dr. Ken Berry. What is going on? This is crazy. I love Dr. Berry, and this is in no way something that is insulting to him. I love what he does, and he is not dogmatic like this about stuff. He has his own approach, but he has his spectrum that he talks about, people following wherever works best for them on that spectrum. It's all science-based. That's why I love what he does, because he is not this way. But people on the outside who see very loyal followers, if there is such a thing. Yeah, balloons. Very loyal followers who then speak for people like Dr. Berry and Dr. Baker and Anthony Chaffee and like all of these people. People who watch them speak for them in forums online, YouTube and Facebook and Reddit and all these different places. And they use ego to take this whole interaction we just had and act out their half of it, and you can guess which one of those two people they're being, and they act out their half of it in these public forums online, and brand new people to this idea of eating a proper human diet, they come into the space and they see this stuff online, Facebook groups for carnivore and YouTubers that are putting out videos that honestly are maybe on the fringe and don't really know very much what they're doing, or people that are acting in comment sections of videos or whatever. They're surrounded by all these voices that are doing exactly what I just did. And I know, like, it, you know, it's comedy and I'm being like very facetious and very dramatic about this, but here's the thing. This is not that far off of what I'm actually seeing in reality in comment sections. I have a pretty large YouTube channel. I get comments like this almost every day from people who are telling me how I'm an idiot and I'm going to die and all of this stuff. I have had people jump down my throat for having black cooking utensils, for using nonstick cookware, for having aluminum foil in my house, for putting grill marks on a steak. The number of people that have asked me if I am concerned about the cancerous compounds that I'm creating by searing my steak properly is mind-boggling. I really struggle to put myself in the mind of someone who is saying these things and understand where they are coming from. And I think it's important that we draw attention to the fact that this does exist. Not because we're trying to make those people change. I can't change those people, and it's not my job to change those people. I don't care. They can do them. They can do their own life. They can live how they want. They can eat how they want, whatever. My concern is the impact people like that are going to have on someone who is a week into keto and going, hey, this is really cool. Look at this sugar-free cookie that I found. This is the thing that keeps me and my wife stable on this keto diet for this first week, right? That's really cool. And then people flood out of nowhere to just jump down their throats about all of the fake sweeteners and how dare you get this. I don't care if it says keto on the package, it's not keto. Even if that's true, the behavior that we use to treat people like they're not somehow worth doing this because they don't understand what it has taken some of us years to figure out step by step. Somehow that means they're an idiot. And we treat them like they are so stupid and so incompetent as a community. And we try to put them through this exact thing that I just walked through in some form or fashion. And it really concerns me because there are people that do things like join my private community, and the first thing they do is send me a message and say, I joined here because I have a really bad binge eating problem and I try going keto or I try going carnivore, but it's just not sustainable because I try to be so strict and I'm not supposed to use any of these things, and I try not to eat the cookies and I try not to eat the keto snacks because people say I'm not supposed to, and then I just feel like I can't hang on, and then I have one thing that's off the diet and it throws me off the rails and I go down this months-long binge. I'm binge eating and I just can't stop, and I'm gaining weight, or sometimes they're binging and they're purging. They're having eating disorders. I'm getting these messages directly from people. They are coming to my community, coming to my comment section. They're emailing me, and they are asking desperately for help. And I go online and I see people that have actual answers and have actual knowledge and information beating the crap out of them for not being good enough at it. And it infuriates me because it's stupid. So when I go through this whole long thing of back and forth, this whole performance like I just did, it's funny in one way. But in another sense, it makes me really sad because it's based on all of the real things I'm watching happening to real people out there who are dying. And rather than us lifting people up and trying to offer them tools and trying to help them, sometimes certain parts of our community that are so loud and so judgmental use it as a way to beat them down and treat them like they're just trash. Breaks my heart to see it. And it's the reason that I am so outspoken about these kinds of things. It's why I take the time to go into comment sections and tell people when they're wrong. Everyone says, oh, just ignore those people. Just ignore those people. Right, but if I ignore those people, then I'm condoning their behavior by just, oh, it's not my problem. No, it is my problem because somebody else out there may be reading that comment and may be this close to dying. It's really desperate for some people right now. There are people out there that are barely hanging on, and I know because I was one of them. And stupid, thoughtless comments that just ignore them is the advice that you get. You can't ignore things like that. Not when you are brain fogged and 400 pounds and depressed and undiagnosed neurodivergent and all of these things like I was. I can't ignore those comments. It's not physiologically, emotionally, psychologically possible for my body to ignore those comments back a few years ago before I knew all of the things I know now. It was because of people like Dr. Barry and Nisha and amazing people in this community, other creators, Steak and Butter Gal, and I'm trying to think of some of the ones that I really watched. I watched Carnivore Quest at the beginning a lot because they were in the middle of all of this. And I watched Dr. Chafee, and I watched Dr. Kiltz, and I watched Dr. Baker, and I watched all these people, and I watched Kelly Hogan, and then I started going further out into the other creators that were maybe a little outside of kind of that main collective group that I found. And I started watching all these different people. And I gained so much insight and so much confidence and so much just the inspiration to keep going. Because I found all of those people. I see Cryosynth says Ketogenic Woman is great. Yes, Ketogenic Woman is actually the person who gave me the start. Anita. She was the first person that featured a recipe that I created because I sent it to her and I thanked her for the work she did. And she featured a recipe of mine, and it was the first boost in subscribers that I got at the beginning. I went from like 7 subscribers to like a few hundred. And I grabbed that and I started to ride that wave. And that is how I became Chris Cooking Nashville that you all know. Or maybe you don't know and you're brand new. Please like and subscribe while you're here. I was watching all these people and gaining so much confidence and knowledge because of those people, non-judgmentally and not in an insane way, promoting the benefits of eating low-carb, keto, carnivore, that proper human diet spectrum, as Dr. Barry calls it. That is where I gained my life back. And so when I watch people in comment sections who are reaching out desperate for help, and I watch them get bullied and beat up, I have a really hard time not very angrily responding, because it's not about ego and it's not about the things that I have to be right or I have to prove something. It's about remembering that when I was 400 pounds and depressed and massively dysregulated and undiagnosed with my autism and ADHD and OCD and the bipolar and these things that I was struggling with, and have never knew that for my whole life, and I was questioning everything in my whole world, and I was inflamed and I was in pain and everything was just miserable. I think about what I was like, and I realize that when I see these people reaching out for help and getting beat up and bullied by perfect carnivores, I realize that I see myself in those people, because I was reaching out for help in so many different ways and so many different places for years, and I tried a lot of different things, and I wasn't getting any help. And it wasn't just even about diet. Sometimes it was about diet and my weight, but other times it was about just being accepted and understanding myself and thinking that I had enough value and enough worth to think that I deserved to even lose weight and to be in better shape and to be pain free. There was a time in my life I didn't even know if I deserved any of that. And so I see these people leaving comments where you can tell they're reaching out for help, and then they're getting beat up for it. Man, it triggers this thing in me where I relate to it and I understand it, because I have been the person on the other side of that conversation where no matter what you do, it is not enough for the person who is riding your ass for not doing it right. And that is what is destroying so many people's lives. Not just with diet, with a lot of things in our lives, but with keto and carnivore for sure. And I don't know if you guys have ever really kind of picked up on this or not, but keto and carnivore is great. But if you don't choose to do something with it to make the world a better place, I think it's a waste. Because my faith is very important to me, and you don't have to share the faith that I do for me to welcome you here and love you guys, and I'm so glad you're all here, and I appreciate your support. But my faith is what drives why I personally choose to do the things that I do. And if I am not serving people and loving people as Jesus did, then what is the point of my life? So if I'm doing all of this keto carnivore stuff and I'm changing my life and I'm feeling good and I'm losing weight and I'm creating recipes and I'm inspiring people, hopefully, and I'm trying to promote this lifestyle and I'm trying to help people change their lives, great. But if the point in doing all of that is not to serve those people who need help more than anybody, then what the frick am I doing with my life? Why would I even waste my time? That's how I see it. Because that's the stuff that matters to me. So this whole concept is something that I want everyone here watching to think about. And the next time you see somebody on the line who is beating people up and trashing people and all this kind of stuff, don't go engage with that person, okay? They're an idiot. What are you going to do? You can't change people like that. They need to choose to change. And you can try to love them and try to help them, but you can't make them change. They have to choose it of their own accord. What you can do is you can go find the people in a comment section that they are beating up. And you can say, hey, I don't know what the jackwagon up there is trying to do, but I would like to encourage you. Here's maybe some things I would offer. Maybe you could try this. That might help you. But regardless of what you do or don't do, doing the things you are doing and taking this one step at a time and one day at a time, that's what you're here for. That's what you're supposed to do. That's the hard work, and that's the things you need support for that we're here to support you for. And it's not easy. There are days that you do really well, and there's days that you really struggle, and that's being human. That's part of it. And anybody that tells you they're not struggling and that they never crave anything or that they never wish they could do one thing or another and just, oh, I've just got it all figured out, I'm just a perfect carnivore, they're lying to you. That's not how being a human works. They may not crave sugar, they may not have the same issues that I do, but they have their own version of issues too. We all do. So go find those people that are being beaten up and support them and tell them that they are worth it. Tell them you are fearfully and wonderfully made in your Creator's image, and you are worth every last bit of effort that you could put in eating keto and carnivore, whatever it is that works for you. You do not deserve to be beaten down and treated like you are somehow trash or you are worthless. You're not failing because you're not eating raw meat with no salt or any of these other things that someone could use as a way to be like, well, that's not optimal. Shut up. I don't care. Shut up. You are worth so much more than someone online beating you up because you're not doing it perfectly. You're doing it one step at a time. Take every day and try to make it a little better. And if there's a way that I can support you and help you, please reach out and let me know. If you guys, all of you watching, if you would go do that in every comment section that you see people in every single day, just there's about 62, 65, something like that people watching right now. If every one of you would go do that and say, Chris Cook in Nashville inspired me to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go give this person some encouragement today. Imagine how many of them would go, I feel lighter and my day has been made better. I still am struggling with some things. Sure, that's being human. But I feel a little more worth it. I feel like someone online sees me. They see my struggle. They see what I'm going through. And maybe I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it, and step by step I'm getting better. And they're loving me for who I am, and they're treating me like I'm worth something. Do you know how few people who are new to this lifestyle experience that when they go to any kind of online group? Because here's the thing. The Facebook carnivore groups are awful. A lot of the online community stuff on YouTube is people who they're doing it for clicks, not because they do it for the right reasons. They have no clue what's going on, and sometimes they put out really bad information. And then you get those comment sections, people going back and forth. And then if you go to the comment sections of big creators like Dr. Barry and Dr. Chafee and Dr. Kiltz and any Dr. Baker and any of these people, Steak and Butter Gal and Kelly Hogan and whatever, you've got people in those comment sections that are very dogmatic and they're arguing. And those creators have channels that are so big, they don't have time to filter every single comment that comes on their channel. They can't. So when someone is brand new and they don't know who to listen to and who not to listen to, and they don't understand the ins and outs of how this all works, how are they ever supposed to know that someone in a comment section jumping down their throats is the nutso person, unless a whole bunch of other people all come together and say, hey, that person doesn't represent who we are as a community, and I'm sorry for the way they're treating you. You're doing really great. Here's some ideas that might help you with the thing you're struggling with. Here's some concepts. Maybe here's some videos or some things that you might really enjoy or whatever. Give that a shot. But know that no matter what, you're welcome here. We're proud of you for the work that you're doing. And we're here to help lift you up and inspire you and support you on the days when things get hard. That's what my private community is all about. If you guys are looking for this kind of a community and you can't necessarily find one, there's a lot of places online to go. But if you're looking for a good one, the QR code right here, you can scan that. And it's going to take you to my private community called The Band. I would love for you guys to join. It's all about this. It's all about supporting each other. And when we have really hard days, we go in the community and we talk about it. And we support each other. And we try to love each other. Because we need to be a unified community of people. Because when things are hard, and it happens for everybody, when things are hard, you need somebody who's there to help pick you up. Just like you can turn around and do the same for them when they're struggling. It's all about love and accepting each other with the struggles that come with us. And that's exactly what Jesus said to do with people. And whether you share my faith or not, I don't think anybody can argue the fact that we should love each other and we should support each other And my feelings about that come from my faith, but wherever yours come from, I hope that you agree with me that loving and supporting people and being there for people who are struggling, that's the goal. That's what we're here to do. We don't need this back and forth arguing and all of this craziness of that whole performance that I just went through for you guys. That doesn't help anybody. Even if those principles along that pathway are true, how you present them really matters. And when you present them to someone who is learning and growing one step at a time, that really matters. So I just want to encourage you guys to consider that today. And I really appreciate all of you hanging out with me and watching. Let's see what we got going on in the chat, because I know that was a lot of me talking. Imagine that. The autistic guy started to info dump. So let's see what we got going on. If you guys have thoughts, questions, anything, please drop it in the chat. And don't forget that QR code right there. Come join the band. I would love to have you be a part of the community if you would like to help me in this battle of trying to support people who just need help. Let's see. We were talking about turkey and chicken and quail and all that stuff. Stacy says we're thinking of doing some turkey legs with the stuffed chicken leg recipe that I just released on Saturday. We've gotten 5 large turkeys in our freezer that we will be canning up. We got 59 cents a pound. I love that, Stacy. It's a great idea. When you do the turkey legs that way, you can still debone them exactly the same way. Get a pair of kitchen pliers. I don't know if you have one or not, but a pair of needle nose pliers that is meant for your kitchen. It's meant for food and not tools and all that other stuff, so you don't get oil and grease on it. It's meant for food. You keep the pliers in your kitchen, and when you get the turkey leg deboned, go in and pull out those really long tendons that are in the turkey leg. They're not as soft as the one in the chicken leg. They don't cook up as soft, and you end up kind of chewing on them. So just use pliers and pull those out, and otherwise it's the exact same process, and you could totally do that. Let's see. There's my dad. Hi, everyone. Papa and Mom in Nashville are here. Sorry to be late, but made it. Good to see you guys. I'm going to be seeing my parents tomorrow. They're coming down for Thanksgiving. So, Stacy says the haircut is great. Our hairdresser came here today and gave us both haircuts for some quail eggs. We love to barter. That's awesome, Stacy, and thank you guys. It was getting out of control, and I've got a speaking engagement coming up here soon in the beginning of December, so I needed to make sure that my hair was not a hot mess. It's a cool mess right now. So, Mags, you're so sweet. So glad you complimented Chris on the haircut. I think it's very attractive. You're so sweet. You really are. There's my brother Dustin from Keto Simple. You guys make sure you subscribe to Keto Simple, because if you don't, where have you been? Dustin is awesome. Go over and check him out. Chronically Carnivore is here. Good to see you, my friend. Says, I've definitely had to step out of a lot of carnivore keto forums since Maha became the U.S. litmus test for belonging. Nina Techholt especially has pivoted on Facebook to say terribly partisan things. I understand, and here's the deal, guys. I don't care what you believe one way or the other. Food and politics, aside from just the political aspect of like how we get food moved around the country and pay for it and all that kind of stuff, that's its own subject. When it comes to like being carnivore for the purpose of helping people's health, politics just doesn't need to be a part of it. And that's why I don't talk about politics. I have my own beliefs about it, and I have the things that I support, but it's just not part of what I do, because I think a lot of people, it is just driving people apart. And whether you agree with the whole Maha thing or whether you're not for the whole Maha thing, regardless, we should all be able to get along. And I think the idea of Make America Healthy again is a fantastic thing, but beyond the idea of making America healthy, I don't think there's any need to dive into that politically. At least not here. I mean, if you want to talk about politics, you can go to the politics places, the channels that do that kind of stuff, but it's just not, it's not what we should be doing when we're trying to help each other. So I totally understand leaving groups that have sort of used that now as a way to judge and segregate their community. Dustin says, loving the dialogue. Thank you. Auntie says, at this point in the convo, I have mentally checked out. That was somewhere in the midst of the performance. Yeah, and I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They get partway through that, and they just check out, and they're done. There's Rick. How you doing, Rick? Good to see you, my friend. Dustin says, I remember feeling this way when I was seeing a big success on keto, and I was doing net carbs and started hearing people talk about total carbs. I just felt like I was no longer doing enough. And that's the problem. It's all about how do we tighten those screws to make somebody feel like a little bit more of a failure so they'll click on my video. Like, that's the problem, you know? If it's working and you're feeling good, you can keep looking and investigating and stuff, but it's like, but why the negativity that people promote, you know? Why would we make Dustin feel like he's not doing enough if he was using net carbs and succeeding? You know? Are total carbs a better metric? Yeah, maybe so, but if it's working, does that need to be the focus right now? You see what I'm saying? Like, why would someone want to do something that makes Dustin feel like he's not doing enough if he was seeing success? Freethinker is here. This is hilarious. Well, thank you kindly. And Papa Nashville has it right. He says, thumbs up, everyone. Yes, please hit that thumbs up, folks. I think Rick popped in just a little late. Is Chris having a conversation with someone? Hopefully, Rick, you caught on as you watched a little bit more. So, Dustin says the Planet Council has met and they voted to end all of us via broccoli and carrots. Yes, that is correct. Andy is here. Hey, Ann, good to see you. Says, hey, friends. And Michael Don Brooks says, wow, get out of my head, Chris. Anti those nefarious plants. I know, they'll get you. They're just, if they could get their roots out of the ground, they'd just jump you and knife you in the back right now. Tustin, you're breathing in plant air and drinking water that's touched plant a few times. The scandal. Yes. Michael, so freaking relatable. I've been struggling with seriously disordered eating because of these thought storms. Michael, I understand. Is it Michael? Is it Mikhail? Michelle? I don't know. It's however you pronounce that first name. Because if your first name is Michael, but your middle name is Dawn, I don't know if that's Mikhail, Michelle. I'm not sure. Whichever one it is, tell me how to pronounce it properly so that I can say it right. Now, listen, I'm a redneck from Indiana, so I'm doing the best I can to sound out names here. So appreciate you being patient, but. Yeah, so freaking relatable. Struggling with seriously disordered eating because of these thought storms. I think a lot of people, I think, struggle with these kinds of things. We all just hide it. You know, this is real stuff. Judy says, wow, this really is what we hear on all the podcasts. Yeah. Sherry, I love that Chris's alter ego is getting annoyed, LOL. This is great. Yes, and you know what? That's exactly how I feel when I see this going on in comment sections, too. Auntie says, no way is anyone touching her coffee. I understand. Dustin, big triggered, I'm moving to the country. Emily, no wonder people think we're crazy. Yep, absolutely. Okay, so right here. John, I've seen this pattern ever since I started Atkins in 2005. Then the paleo, keto, ketovore, now carnivore and fasting. I never changed until I was ready. To each his own is my motto. Absolutely. You see the pattern and you see the progression. People will change when they're ready. So, you know. Cryosynth makes a really good point. Reverse osmosis filter made of plastics. Those plastics are killing you. Emily says, what's the stat? 100% of people who have ever breathed have eventually died, except for like 2 in the Bible, I think. There you go. One of them walked right into heaven and the other one died and rose again. There you go. Auntie says, my spatulas are purple. Well, see, Auntie, you're safe because they're not black. So, God forbid we have that black plastic with all the poisons in it in our kitchen. Dustin says, this is too real. I used to be this way when I first started keto. I just data dump on people and I was shocked they'd run. And here's the thing. We are all susceptible to wanting to do this because we think the data is what teaches someone what they need. But in reality, the data is what proves it after you've already coaxed them to the other side. It's that whole thing of like you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. It's kind of that vibe. Richard Williams, you nailed the problem with watching too many videos. Yes, if you watch way too much stuff, it will start to mess with you. That's why you got to figure out the people that you believe and you really respect and you love what they say. Understand why you think that, and then you can watch the other stuff, but hold it up against the litmus test of, is this really reliable? That's why Dr. Barry was kind of my first go-to, because he would put the research notes in everything that he would do, and I would learn from him. And then if someone said something that really disagreed with him, I would go and look at, well, why are you saying it one way and this person says it another? And who do I actually believe? And so in reality, I didn't believe Dr. Barry blindly. I learned from Dr. Barry, but I went and looked at research and actually read the research articles, and that's what made the difference. Auntie, I've never seen butter eat grass. Where you been? We got a whole herd of butter sticks out back, roaming around, chawing down grass right now. Shelly says, right, where do you draw the line? Our poor brains, how do we make it through the day? Absolutely, and that's the thing. You got to figure out where you feel good and happy, and how are you going to do it? And you stick with it and block out the noise, which is easier said than done sometimes. Bride's Biscuit is here. Evening, lads. Good to see you, my friend. Auntie, I've already checked out and ordered a pizza. Yep, and that's what happens to most people, right? They'll go through this and they'll be like, nope, not doing it. Hey, Domino's, can I get a large pepperoni? Dustin says, hearing this all exposed out like this, if I was just starting, I'd just hang up and off to insert fast food place here. Absolutely. And that's what I did at the beginning of most dietary things I tried to figure out. Dennis says, OMG, been feeling this way lately. Like, when does it stop? GMO allulose and heavy metals in salt, and on and on and on and on and on. Absolutely. Freethinker says, Chris should headline at a carnivore comedy club. We have any of those? That'd be pretty funny if we did. Let's see. Richard Williams, when you cure one problem, 10 more pop up. My mother-in-law Care is feeling that right now. Some of the health stuff that she's dealing with, she is kind of saying the same thing. It feels that way, and that's the thing with like keto and carnivore and that stuff. Like it's kind of a thing. Like when you fix one thing, 10 more will pop up from about 10 different voices that are all telling you why you're still doing it wrong. Dennis, are you still cooking indoors? Yeah, I'm pretty particular to my kitchen. I like it. And you've been in my house. You know how much I love my kitchen, Dennis. Chaos Carnivore is here. What's going on, Chaotic Carnivore? How are you? It's been a long time since I've seen you. I think it's very interesting that people have these dogmatic ideas about early eating practices and yet wouldn't be able to stomach that lifestyle if they were dropped into it. You got that right. That's the other thing. People that are like, well, 5,000 years ago, this is how people ate. And I'm like, yeah, 5,000 years ago, they chased down the animal and killed it with a stone or a stick. You out there doing that, slicing it off and eating it in the field? Because if you're not, then you're not a real carnivore either, apparently. I'm impressed how far you can take this. It really does go pretty wild, doesn't it? Auntie Chris's one personality is so patient. Chaotic Carnivore says, also Rumi says, remember to use a natural rock to cut your meat so you can stay away from modern knives and their poisons. That's right. That's right. How dare we use modern knives? That's not the way they did it. Did you make that knife yourself out of stone? That's the ancestrally appropriate way. Hey, there's my buddy Victor, Southern Keto. If you guys don't subscribe to Victor at Southern Keto, where have you been? Between him and Dustin, you guys are really missing out if you don't subscribe to both of them. They're also both part of my private community if you would like to connect with them over there. Just FYI. Don't forget that. Where's it at? There it is. There's the QR code right there. Scan that, go join the band, or the link is in the description box too. I think it's in the description box. If it's not, I'll make sure to drop it down there after this is over. There's Cheryl, says, good job, Chris. Nailed it. Heard all of this over the years. Just do what's right for you. Amen. Lewis Stone is here, and he understands because, as we all know, Lewis Stone is doing it wrong. He understands. What's going on, Lewis? Good to see you, my friend. Dennis says, I knew the salt was coming. That's right. Auntie. Can't eat air. Too much pollution. That's right. Hey, there's JJ. What's going on, my friend? Says, I pop in to hear you say, drink animal blood. Oh, JJ, I'm glad you popped in at exactly that moment. It's fantastic. Carrie says, wow, Chris. Thanks, Carrie. I thought it was a pretty interesting thought experiment. When I did it for Ash, she was like, whoa. Because it was all off the cuff. She wasn't expecting it. She was like, whoa, that needs to be your next live stream because obviously you're worried about this. And I was like, yes, I am. This is a great way of saying this. How about just turn the carb dial back about a century or so? There it is. Go back for all of those processed foods and the high carb stuff, and you're in a pretty good spot. You can go from there. Free Thinker says, thank you, Chris. That was terrific. Well, thank you. Yes, that is a Les Paul back there. It's a Les Paul 2003 Supreme in Cherry Sunburst. My parents and grandparents got that for me when I was about 17 years old. 16 or 17, something like that. Richard Williams, N equals 1. Don't tell anyone. Live long and prosper. Amen, brother. Dennis is laughing, rolling on the floor, and says, about this time I'd tell the true carnivore that some ancestral tribes were cannibals, and I'm getting hungry. You and me both, brother. Sherry says, my eyes are leaking. I'm laughing so hard. I'm glad I could bring you guys some fun tonight. Cat Carnivore. Carnivore final form equals chupacabra. Go for the goat blood. That's right. Gabriel Oliva. I'm sorry. I'm probably saying that wrong, but Gabriel is here. Yep, you're spot on, Chris. Well, thank you so much. Brian says the extreme is across the board. It's going on everywhere. If you don't do what they say, you get attacked. That's correct. Looks like a lot of you guys think I was pretty spot on with this whole thing, which I sure appreciate. It's got a lot of thought that goes into it, so I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. This is a good point. We need to rewind to pre-seed oils. 99% of humanity got it back then. Diet and nutrition got progressively crazier since. And yes, the influencer space went bat at the end of this. Yep. That's right. See, this is a good point. Dustin says, nothing you said during your skit was far-fetched at all. It's all real and it all happens. I agree, and I've seen it so much. Our job, our goal is to attract and keep as many people on a path of working out their own health, whatever that looks like for them. I agree, because that's how you help people. Auntie's going to try air frying a steak from Frozen this week. Well, Auntie, let me know how that turns out for you. Would love to see what your results are. Emily says, I feel really bad for anyone who is new to this fold. Trying this way of eating in this environment is worse than what I imagine dating is like in 2025. You're not wrong. You are not wrong. Bride's Biscuit, I don't got time for those channels. Let the driftwood float out to sea. It's cyclical with this noise. Just 3 years has shown me this. My fam is here. Well, we're glad you're here. Brian, if you can't adapt, learn from your mistakes. Share the knowledge. You are doomed. Talking down to someone instead of helping them, you're the one with the problem. I totally agree. And Auntie is right. She says, this whole live is why I follow only a handful of channels. I'm right there with you. Emily says, Chris, you and I both were those people. If someone had said any of those things to me when I was trying to do it in the beginning, my brain would have said, just quit. Everything. Yep. That's where my brain was at. It really was. There's a lot of people whose brains are there and they need help. Everybody loves ketogenic woman, I can see. Anita is fantastic. Anita actually gave me a quote from my cookbook. She is amazing. Dustin with the $5 super chat. Look at that. Brother, thank you so much. Says Chris, thank you for this. This conversation is so very important. It's my pleasure, my friend. Linda is here and says, I heard about you from that video of Ketogenic Woman. Yep, she was probably one of the first people who found me then after Anita shared my recipe. And Free Finger says, I found Chris from Dr. Barry and Nisha probably a year or two ago. Well, I'm really glad that you did. Dr. Barry and Nisha have been very supportive and kind, and they have also sent many people my way. They're so wonderful. Let's see. Linda says, after you told us about your neurodivergence, I discovered I was too. Answers so many questions. The Lord is so good. Linda, that's amazing. If you don't mind, go to my website, chriscookingnashville.com, and you can find my email address there. There's a contact form, or like a little contact page. It's got my email address. It's just info@chriscookingnashville.com. But Linda, send me an email. I would love to chat with you and just hear your story and just connect with somebody who's also going through that. That's really, really cool. Dustin, I go into Facebook posts where people are going crazy. I leave a comment that says, you're going to be okay. Just keep going. Hopefully that makes a difference. Hey, man, it's a start. It's got to help something. Mags, I like the way you see it. Hey, there's Ken, Stacy and Ken, both of them in the house. Says, thank you, Lord. Love you, brother. Ken, I love you too, my brother. You and Stacy are just good peeps. We love you guys. Simpson Johns is here. Came in late. Sorry about that. I like your lives. Anyway, love the haircut. Well, thank you so much. Dustin says, we are a community. We must be there for all members of this community the best way we can. Encouragement and love. Meet everyone where they are. Help guide them where they want to go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, there is Amber and Dan's Carnivore Life. Good to see you guys. How are you? Says, hey, y'all. Hey, Chris. Just saw that you're live. Well, I'm really glad that you saw that I'm live. I'm really glad you're here. This is what I do every day. I think about the person on the other end and I give them the best I can to help because I was almost certainly there and I get it. Absolutely. And if every one of us did that, it would make so much difference. Pamela is here. Hi, Pamela. Says, everything you say is so true. We need to do better for each other. Edify, don't tear down. I agree. I totally, totally agree. There's Dustin dropping the band link in. Join the band. Guys, please click that link in the comments there. And come over and join the band. And I'll make sure that I drop it into the description box after the live is over just to make sure it's there. I think it might be, but if it's not, I'll drop it in. So if you go back to the replay of this, it'll be down there for you. Or you can scan, there it is, scan the little QR code right there with your phone. Use a wireless device and look at that one and it'll take you there. Liz says, I'm so grateful for the incredible work you put into making the wonderful recipes for us. I also try to encourage anyone and accept them for where they are. And I think it's the best thing we can do. I'm really glad you're here, Liz. Juju's here, says, Shauna, Lilia's right here and says, hi, Auntie. It's good to see you, Juju. Hope you're doing well. Dustin, it's like Animal Farm. The pigs are more equal than all the other animals. That's right. Mags has to go. All my love to everybody in the chat, Chris and Ash, and all supportive people. You have a wonderful day. We really appreciate you being here. Free Thinker totally agrees. Well, I appreciate that. Dennis says, I was fortunate and CCN was one of the first YouTube channels I was given when learning about carnivore. Well, Dennis, I'm really glad, brother. I don't know what our lives would be like without you, but I know it would be a lot less fun. So we're really glad you were part of it. Emily says, there's a creator that I follow that has found carnivore. And every time she makes an allusion to it in a video, I dig into her comments looking for people that are curious to share with kindness. I love that, Emily. You're just out there just trying to help people, and you're looking for opportunities to help. That's the thing. We can help people, but if we go intentionally looking for people to help, you will find so many of them. Amber and Dan's Carnivore Life says, just had my 3-month type 2 diabetic check. A1C went from 9.4 to 8.6, and I wasn't even taking my metformin regularly. Carnivore Ketovore takes most of the credit. That's fantastic. Keep going. You're doing great. You're doing it. You are doing it. My mom is also a type 2 diabetic, so I understand, and she's doing great too. She's working at it hardcore. Juju, Chris, that looks like a married couple sharing an account, 2 first names and their last. Very possible. Very possible. I am... Michael, like the boy, named after my dad. Excellent. Okay. Got it. Let's see. And thank you for your kindness and encouragement. It takes community. Well, thank you for your kindness and being part of that community, because if you guys weren't here, I would have no reason to do this. So thank you for being here. Lisa's headed out. Good night, Lisa. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Dustin says, go up on an open mic down at Zany's in Nashville. Boy, that would be something, wouldn't it? Let's turn the autistic guy loose with a microphone. What could possibly go wrong? The idea that we have devolved into not cooking our meat, that's a huge, crazy thing that will turn away people so fast. I agree. Joe makes a good point. The same people that tell you you're dumb to be a vegan will tell you you're a bad carnivore. They're just looking to judge. That's all it is. Emily says, 5,000 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to watch a man in an electric box argue with himself. It's a good point. But you can come to my house and do it anytime you want. And there's that band link again for you guys, or again, the QR code, and I will make sure it is in the description box down below when we are done here. Let's see. I'm just making sure we didn't miss anything or any questions or something. Bride's Biscuit had a 1974 Standard Cherry Burst. Miss it. I bet you do. I bet that was an awesome guitar. Cheryl is here, says, I have found that listening to too many influencers is overwhelming. Yes, too many of them can be a major problem. So. Michael, LOL at Cannibals. My 13-year-old asked me to make cannibalism mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving Day this week. He meant Chris's carnivore potatoes. You know what? I'm going to start calling those cannibal potatoes. I like that. That's going to be a new fun nickname for those. Cannibalism mashed potatoes. That's fantastic. Kids have the best, just clear outlook on how to make things funny without even trying, and I love every second of that. Dennis says, the thing I'm going to tell some of my sad friends that I'm going to make cannibalism mashed potatoes this week. You guys are killing me. JJ says, if I'm not mistaken, Chris, weren't you Anita's first interview? Yes, Anita told me she was going to start doing interviews, and you know she had helped me out a couple of years before that start my channel, and we'd done some stuff together and everything after she had featured a couple of my recipes, and she's like my grandma. She's just there in my corner. She's so sweet. She's so wonderful. And she contacted me and she said, hey, I'm starting to do interviews on my channel, and I thought it would be so perfect if you would be my first interview. And so I was like, of course, I would be your first and your last and all of the interviews in between for you. I love Anita. I would do anything for that woman. She's fantastic. So yes, I got to be her first interview on her channel. So I've actually done 2 interviews on her channel, in fact. Very, very cool. Emily says, make some red eye gravy too. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Looks like we're all just talking about the carnivore / cannibalism mashed potatoes. By the way, are you guys getting ready to make carnivore mashed potatoes for Thanksgiving? I'd love to know. Put it in the chat if you're making my carnivore mashed potatoes or any of my other recipes for Thanksgiving. Drop in the chat what you're planning to make. I would love to know. Dustin says, Chris Cooking Nashville, no. What could possibly go right? That's correct. Dennis, no, not a black van. That's poison. I love it. Richard Williams, 9 out of 10 cannibals agree. Vegetarians do taste better. There you go. Amber and Dan's Carnivore Life. Just took your mashed potatoes and put my own twist on them. Freaking delicious. New video drops tomorrow. Well, I'm really looking forward to see that. Make sure you tag my channel in the description box so that I get a notification when you drop that. You can do it in the description box or, however it is you want, but tag my channel on YouTube so that I get the notification that reminds me it goes live, and I'll come over and I'll watch it and give you a thumbs up and comment and say hey and do all of that kind of stuff. And so, guys, make sure to go over to Amber and Dan's Carnivore Life and subscribe, and apparently get ready to watch a twist on my carnivore mashed potatoes on that channel. That's going to be really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Dustin says, I'll make a short about making the CCN mashed potatoes 2.0. I love that. I know Dustin has said he's like, I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to make your mashed potatoes for the first time. So he's eaten them at my house. I made them for him when he was here in Nashville, but this will be the first time he's making them himself. So that's really cool, Dustin. Well, guys, I appreciate all of you, and we are definitely over our time, but I think this has been so much fun getting to talk with you guys tonight. This is a really important thing. And it really means the world to me that you guys support what I do and that you're here and that we're doing all of this together. I can't do this without you guys. And as you can see, I think from just my whole little thing that I'm going through and all this kind of stuff with this sort of back and forth tonight, like this is real stuff. And there's so many people in the comment sections that are like, yes, I've seen this all over online. Like, this is what's going on, and too many influencers and all. Like, it turns into this. So it can be really wild. So I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Juju says, considering the mashed potatoes because she has a ton of egg whites in the fridge. I love that. Mark is here, says, I'm eating your carnivore pizza tonight. Excellent, brother. I love that recipe. Now, which one? Because I have several versions. They're all good. They're just all slightly different, whether you're doing thin crust or deep dish or traditional or what you're doing. So let me know which one. Auntie says, by the way, move your turkeys to the fridge. So I got to tell you guys, I have a 23-pound turkey in my fridge that has been defrosting since Tuesday. Yeah, so Tuesday. So it's almost a week in the fridge, and I'm going to pull it out tomorrow because I'm going to debone the entire turkey, and I'm going to dry brine it for 2 days starting tomorrow. So it's going to dry brine tomorrow and Wednesday, and then it'll be cooked on Thursday, and it's going to be fantastic. So I have a big family coming over. We've got me and Ash, we've got my parents, I've got both of Ash's brothers, we've got our sister-in-law Jay, we've got little baby Liam. It's gonna be a full house. We're gonna have a really wonderful Thanksgiving. What are you guys thankful for? Are y'all looking forward to Thanksgiving? What are you thankful for this year? I'm thankful for the amazing family that I get to have over for dinner and spend time with this year. Amber and Dan's Carnivore Life says, I make them all the time, Keto Simple. They're a game changer for those of us addicted to potatoes. Absolutely, it can make such a big difference. There's that join the band link again. Don't forget the QR code is right here. You can scan that as well. And after the live, I will double check and make sure the link is in the description box too. Juju says, my bird's been in the fridge since Saturday and he's still hard as a rock. Okay, guys, quick cooking tip. If you still have a turkey that is frozen and you're like, oh no, what do I do? Here's what you do. I'm going to save your life. I promise you. Take your frozen turkey, you put it down and get one of the food grade 5-gallon buckets. You've still got time to go get one tomorrow. Put it down in that 5-gallon bucket. Put just enough water to cover it. You should have about a 16-pound or less turkey for this to really work. Put it in a 5-gallon food bucket. Put just enough water to cover it. Put in about a cup of kosher salt. Mix that all together. Let it thaw. in that salted water, in that 5-gallon bucket, put a little probe thermometer down in there, and you can set an alarm for like 40 degrees, because that's where maybe it might start getting a little suspect. You drop the probe thermometer down in there. If the water goes above 40 degrees, doesn't mean the turkey has, but the water is, because the turkey's not keeping it cold enough anymore. Throw in some ice, just keep it 40. You should be able to thaw that in roughly 24 hours. And because you have salt in there, it is going to brine your turkey at the exact same time, which helps season it, tenderize it, keep it more juicy, and protects it from overcooking. So no matter what method you're going to use to cook it, it'll turn out better. So turkey, just enough water to cover it in a 5-gallon bucket, about a cup of kosher salt, mix it real good, use that probe thermometer to monitor it. If it goes over 40 degrees, throw a few handfuls of ice in there just to keep it below 40. You should be good to go. There you go. That's how you get your turkey last minute thawed if you forgot to do it. And then once it's thawed, take it out, dry it off, get the giblets out, do your thing, and cook it however you want, which I got 100 different ways I could tell you to do that, but there you go. Mark makes the mashed potatoes 2.0 all the time. I love that. Free Thinker, you're welcome. Thank you for hanging out. Says thank you, Chris, in the chat. Awesome discussion. Emily says, and me, join the band. Yes, absolutely. Emily is in there. Auntie is part of our group. Dustin is in there. We've got so many wonderful people in the band. So Juju says she's going to spatchcock her turkey and smoke it. I love it. Amber Dan's Carnivore Life, great chatting with you too. Appreciate you so much. Let's see. Juju, I'm thankful for our friendship, Chris. You and Ash are such a blessing. Juju, you are a blessing to us, and we love you very, very much. And there's Marty, thankful for you and Ash and the band. Marty, we are thankful for you, my brother. And Emily says, no recipe, but I will use my knife saga knife to prep the charcuterie board. I love it. I love it. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And yes, Juju says toss ice in. Yes, use a probe thermometer and make sure that water does not go above 40. And if it hits 40 and the alarm goes off on your probe thermometer, put some ice in there. Keep it 40 or below, and you're safe and you're good to go. Michael says, I know this isn't the right place, but when I try to join the band, I never get the link in my email or spam folder. So, Michael, when you click on, you either go to this here, or when you click on the link, it's going to take you to Mighty Networks. You will join the band. It's $10 a month, so you pay that. And once you put payment information in, you may need to download on your phone the Mighty Networks app, or you can go to Mighty on your computer. But it should just be like you do it and it'll let you log in. You shouldn't have to have like some kind of weird email coming to you unless it's like a confirmation email or something, which if that's the case, you would have to reach out to Mighty directly because they handle all of that internally. I just have the group that I pay for, so I unfortunately don't see anything on their back end. So if they're supposed to send you a confirmation email and you're still just not getting it, reach out to Mighty Network support and let them know. Simpson John says, you and Ash have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Ha, that's how I've done my turkey for years. I love it. I love it. And Dustin says, be sure to sign up on a desktop. If you're using an iPhone, you'll get charged more if you do it on your phone. That is correct, because iOS rules suck. So, and it's I have no control over it. It's an Apple thing. They make you do it with your phone. So, folks, thank you so much for hanging out. I love all of you guys. I appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful night. Have an amazing Thanksgiving. Be thankful for everything and go out and spread some love and encouragement to everybody that you can in the community, because without you guys doing that, there's nobody out there helping us fight the battle, and I'm on my own. So help us do that, me and the other influencers like me who are trying to do this the right way and really reach and help people. Help us do that by encouraging them. So go to the QR code right there, come join the band. Would love for you guys to be over there. I'll go drop that link in the description box here in just a moment. Make sure it's there on the replay if it's not already there. And we will see you guys here in the studio for more of these live streams very soon. This is Chris Cook in Nashville. You guys eat your meat, love your life, encourage each other, and don't get too hung up in all of the ways you're doing it not correct and all of the things you got to freak out about. Guys, have a great rest of your night. We'll catch you guys later, and happy Thanksgiving. Bye, y'all.